slept on the beach for 3 days and 3 nights. When I woke up, I found my crew members lying on the beach without moving. I walked closer in confusion to check, and only when I saw that pale face with no color did I realize the person had been dead for a long time. Without time to grieve, I quickly took off the crew member's shoes and put them on my feet. I tried them on and found the shoes surprisingly fit well. I searched along the coastline, calling out loudly for any possible survivors. However, the only response was the cold sound of waves hitting the beach over and over. Along the way, I found the wrecked ship and another crew member's body. So I dragged the body to the shore, built a simple cross with branches and vines, and buried him with respect. After packing my bags, I decided to climb to the highest point on the island to look for the way home. After 2 hours of climbing, I finally reached the mountaintop. The view was beautiful but made me despair. All around was the endless ocean, with no ships visible and no sign of any land. In anger, I threw my backpack away. But after letting out my frustration, I had to face the truth. I needed to survive on this deserted island to find a way to escape. Thirsty and hungry, I found several coconut trees, so I used stones to knock down a few coconuts. I worked hard to crack them open and eagerly drank the liquid inside. The sweet coconut water gave me back some strength for a while. However, just as I was about to find a place to rest, a weak dog bark suddenly came. I followed the sound and found my beloved dog Sabin in a rock cave. I was overjoyed and without hesitation jumped down, hugging the shaking dog, and softly asked how he had gotten here. Sabin also lay down obediently to show friendliness. With Sabin by my side, I felt the island was not so lonely anymore. As night fell, I used a flint to start a campfire, but I had not gotten any food. I could only rub my hands and endure the hunger, slowly falling asleep while cuddling with Sabin. The next morning, I decided to go back to the shipwreck to collect supplies. Even though the waves were rough, I bravely jumped into the sea. Sabin barked anxiously on the shore, and I turned back to signal that everything was fine. Then I swam hard to the ship. When I climbed onto the deck, I found only a few live rats there. I went into the cabin and broke open an iron cabinet, happily discovering several guns inside. Next, in another box, I found a few bottles of red wine. I was very happy. Just as I was about to take a drink to relax, the ship suddenly made a cracking noise, and it was sinking. So I quickly moved all the usable supplies to the deck. Then I tied all the supplies together to make a simple raft. I used the waves to carry it to the shore. Now, Sabin and I finally had a place to shelter from the wind and rain. Unexpectedly, while we were eating bread at night, a low growl from a wild boar came from the trees. Since wild boars are aggressive, we were too scared to move. The next morning, most of the supplies I had brought back were ruined by the wild boar. Angry, I picked up a hunting rifle and decided to go into the jungle to hunt the wild boar. But on the way, I saw a more frightening scene. On the ground, there were scattered bones and tools used for rituals. Sabin even found a fresh human skeleton. I immediately felt the island was full of dangers, so I quickly took Sabin and got away from there.